Instead of raising the standard of living that we have globally, they would rather just destroy the United States, destroy our standard of living so that we're comparable to everybody else. So now everywhere is a third world nation. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it for power.
He knew all this. He warned that would happen if Creepy was elected. And he was the man in Washington trying to solve the problems. But, well, you know what happened. We had one for 4 years, and he did stand up.
You know, we don't have a guy that's strong enough in office as president to stand up and say, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we've really been sold out. That there are forces within our government, like what Kennedy tried to do, that just flat out want to destroy the United States because we're too good, because we have too much. That there are people that know what is going on, and they play the game anyway. They don't have the courage to say, look, folks, let's deal with the realities here. You know, and if you're going to have a tyrant in your life, let it be that part of you that's critical of you. Let that be your only tyrant. Don't give anybody else any power outside of your physical form to be a tyrant, to control you, or manipulate you in any way. Be yourself. Because if you are yourself, you're a part of God, and that part of you knows what to do. It knows the right way to live.
All Lives Matter, Trump 2024, Waldo Riveria, X-Files edition. Viewer discretion advised. Good evening, everyone, or morning, whenever you watch this. If you have a Bible handy, you might want to grab it. Look up the verse, Genesis 9:28 and 29. Talks about Noah and how old he was when he died. Did you know this? And all the other people who lived to be very, very old in the Bible. So, if you believe this, what I'm about to show you isn't that hard to believe, is it? Just pay attention and listen to what's said. As you may or may not know, the very first stimulus bill signed by President Trump required the Pentagon to release UAP, otherwise known as UFO, information in June of 2021, which they did. They have acknowledged that a lot of the videos that they have, in fact the ones that have been released, that they are real, and they say they don't know what they are. I tend to believe they know what it is. However, the pilots have come out and talked about it on national TV, have said they don't know what they are. If it was ours and it was classified, they wouldn't be on TV talking about it in the first place. They would be, in big trouble, obviously. And these pilots, either they're all suffering from some sort of brain condition, they really saw something. Please pay attention carefully to what's being said. You're about to get the whole picture. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy it.
So important. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement. My administration has recognized space as a warfighting domain and made the creation of the Space Force a national security priority. Today, I'm thrilled to sign a new order, taking the next step to create the United States Space Force. So important. It's the future. It's where we're going. I suspect whether we like it or not, that's where we're going. It's space. That's the next step. And
Waldo Riveria, we have to be prepared. Think about that being said that way. Have to be prepared. Prepared for what?
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
If your kid wanted to find out whether or not there were, or whatever, something, or, whether those aliens are here or not.
We're honored to be joined by Apollo astronaut Jack Schmitt. Jack became one of the last Americans to land on the moon. Today we pledge that he will not be the last. And I suspect we'll be finding other places to land in addition to the moon. What do you think, Jack? Where's Jack? What do you think, Jack? We'll find some other places out there? There are a couple of other places, right?
We should. Learn from the moon.
We'll learn.
And by your action today, with this clear vision, returning Americans to the moon, preparing to lead to Mars and beyond, you are ensuring, Mr. President, that America will lead in space in the future and for generations to come. In pursuing these objectives, Mr. President, we will, as you said, enhance our national security and our capacity to provide for the common defense of the people of the United States of America.
Turning American astronauts to the moon for the first time since 1972 for long-term exploration and use. This time, we will not only plant our flag and leave our footprint, we will establish a foundation for an eventual mission to Mars and perhaps someday to many worlds beyond. We'll find some other places out there. There are a couple of other places, right?
We should. Learn from the moon.
We'll learn.
Learn from the moon. Learn from the moon.
So, find a couple other places, learn from the moon. Catch what says we'll learn from the moon. Learn from the moon. Learn what? Obviously, they already know.
We'll find some other places out there. There are a couple of other places, right?
We should. Learn from the moon.
We'll learn.
Okay, you let me know when you need to break. How are the renegade Zeta Reticulans able to manipulate Earth's most powerful governments into a position of checkmate?
Oh, it's easy. That part was really easy. Number one, their technology is 2,500 years more ahead of us. Number two, because of our greed factor, certain groups of power elite are in touch with them on a physical level. Well, many of them are implanted.
And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Many of them are so implanted that they have now become part of the gray group mind. And the Andromedans no longer consider some of these human beings, Terrans as they call us, human at all anymore. They're nothing but clones for what the Greys want. And they pass down orders, they tell others what to do, and of course the chain of command that we've established on our planet is exactly what's happening. Also, playing on the greed factor, those who are still human, they look at the fact that, well, they're here, they're the rulers, you know, we can still maintain our place of privilege in the world, so we'll form the new priesthood. We'll be the go-between between the workers and the gods, just like we saw in Babylon, in Assyria, Egypt. It's all over again. It's history repeating itself all over again.
Because it's the control factor, the hierarchy is the established mode for these negative civilizations to keep their power structure intact.
That's right.
Okay.
You know, and it's another thing, and there's also one more factor. It is about human beings out for power, selling out their own race.
The World Club.
Just selling out the rest of us, the human race, for their moment in glory, for their privilege to be with the gods, so to speak, who are aliens. That's what it is. To have technology that can take them to the moon, to the technology that can take them to Mars, that'll give them the technology to do time travel. They totally sold out a race, our history, everything, for their brief moment in the sun.
Now,
Pisses me off.
I'm sure when they look back on their lives afterward, I would assume that they would regret their choice.
I don't know. I don't know.
Do they have control of the world media?
Oh, greed does. Greed does.
But a lot of the
I don't know if it's them themselves. Well, the programming is being introduced, and it is mankind that is introducing it to the masses.
So it's the people that are selling out, basically.
That's it. It's the new priesthood.
Okay.
You know, that's where the responsibility lies.
What would be the outcome if human beings believed that renegade Zeta Reticulans were the hope of mankind?
We would know a tyranny and an enslavement that is far beyond anything we could even imagine. Just mocking how stupid we are, when we're really not stupid. You know, but nobody will tell the truth. Nobody will come out and say, hey, you know, none of this is right. We would have never meant to live this way. And they had no right to come down here and mess with us the way they've done that. You know, and the real strength in us, in our own permanent evolvement as a race, will come from us standing up, taking a stand and saying, you know what? no way. We're not going to do this. We're not going to destroy ourselves for your enjoyment, so you can feed off of us. You know, you have no right to manipulate our governments. You know, to create wars. None of this was right, and that's it. We need to stand up as a race, exercise our free will, and say, you know what? We don't want to live this way anymore. We want to create a real future where our kids will have an opportunity to be whatever they want, to live in an environment that's clean, that's free, where they can have water to drink, where they can go out and eat fruit. I'm not saying that there aren't some human beings here that definitely don't have some serious problems. I'm not saying that at all. There are some who do. But the bottom line is, when you look at the whole picture and you go up the ladder, okay, we are not the enemy. The enemy isn't human at all. But it's pushing all our buttons so that we're so busy looking at each other and so neurotic about each other that we're not looking at the real reality here, the real cause, which is another race or races that are here who are totally playing games with us, feeding off our energy, and hoping that we destroy ourselves so that they can keep the planet for themselves.
Really,
can we take a short time out?
Definitely.
Thank you.